You know, there comes a moment in your life when you have to make a choice that goes against everything you've been taught, a choice that feels wrong at first, but is actually the most loving thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for others too. That choice is learning when not to help. I know what you're thinking. You've been raised to believe that helping others is always the right thing to do. Your parents told you to be kind. Your teachers told you to be generous. Your religion probably told you to turn the other cheek and give until it hurts. And there's truth in all of that. There's beauty in all of that. But here's what they didn't tell you. There are people in this world who will take your kindness and use it as a weapon against you. There are people who will drain every ounce of energy from your body, steal every moment of peace from your mind, and leave you empty, exhausted, and wondering what happened to your life. Today I'm going to talk to you about 6 types of people that you must not help. Not because you're cruel, not because you lack compassion, but because helping them is actually hurting them, and it's destroying you in the process. This is about understanding the difference between genuine help and enabling destruction. This is about learning to say no with love. This is about protecting your energy so you can give it to the people who truly need it and will use it to grow. The first dangerous person you must not help is the professional victim. You know this person. They're in your life right now. They're the ones who always have a problem, always have a crisis, always have a reason why life isn't working out for them. And here's the thing. When you first meet them, you feel sorry for them. You want to help. You think, if I just give them a little support, a little money, a little time, they'll get back on their feet. But months turn into years and nothing changes. The problems just shift. The crises just multiply. The reasons just get more elaborate. The professional victim has made suffering their identity. They've built their entire sense of self around being the person things happen to. They're not living life, they're enduring it. And they need an audience for their suffering. That's where you come in. Every time you rush to their rescue, every time you solve their problem, every time you give them money or time or emotional energy, you're giving them what they really want, which isn't a solution. What they want is validation that they are indeed victims, that life is indeed happening to them, that they have no power and no responsibility. You see, the professional victim has a story, and your help keeps that story alive. The story goes something like this. I'm a good person, but the world is against me. People are against me. Circumstances are against me. If only things were different, if only people would help me more, if only I had what others have, then I could be happy. Then I could succeed. Then I could live the life I deserve. But right now, right here, I'm stuck, I'm powerless, I'm the victim. When you help the professional victim, you become a supporting character in their drama. You confirm their belief that they need rescuing. You reinforce their sense of powerlessness. And here's the cruel irony. The more you help, the more helpless they become. Because every time you solve a problem for them, you send a message, you're right, you can't do this on your own. You're right, you need someone else to fix your life. You're right, you have no power. Real help, true help, compassionate help looks completely different. Real help says, I believe in your strength. I believe in your ability to handle this. I'm not going to rescue you because you don't need rescuing. You need to remember who you are. You need to reclaim your power. You need to take responsibility for your life. And I'll stand beside you while you do that, but I won't do it for you. The professional victim doesn't want to hear this. They'll get angry. They'll accuse you of being cold, of not caring, of abandoning them in their time of need. They'll find someone else who will play the rescuer role. And that's okay. That's their path. Your path is to preserve your energy for those who are genuinely ready to help themselves. The second dangerous person you must not help is the energy vampire. This person is different from the professional victim, though sometimes they overlap. The energy vampire doesn't necessarily present themselves as helpless. They might be successful, charming, even inspiring at first glance. But here's how you know you're dealing with an energy vampire. After spending time with them, you feel exhausted, drained, empty, like someone reached inside you and pulled out your life force. Energy vampires feed on your attention, your emotions, your reactions. They create drama not because they're victims, but because drama gives them energy. They pull it right out of you. They'll call you with emergencies that aren't really emergencies. They'll engage you in conflicts that don't need to exist. They'll dump their emotional garbage on you and walk away feeling lighter while you're left carrying the weight. Here's the thing about energy vampires. They're unconscious. They don't wake up in the morning and think, today I'm going to drain the life out of everyone I meet. They don't know what they're doing. They just know that when they're around certain people like you, they feel better. And so they keep coming back, they keep taking. And if you let them, they'll take until there's nothing left. You cannot help an energy vampire by giving them your energy. That's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it's never enough. The bucket never fills. The only way to help an energy vampire is to stop feeding them. Stop giving them the reactions they're looking for. Stop engaging in the drama. Stop being available for every crisis. Create boundaries. Protect your peace. And when they get angry, when they accuse you of changing, of not being the friend you used to be, understand that this is their addiction talking. They're addicted to your energy, and you're cutting off their supply. The most compassionate thing you can do for an energy vampire is to force them to find energy within themselves, to stop looking outside for what can only be found inside, to learn to generate their own light instead of stealing it from others. But they'll never learn this if you keep giving them what they want. The third dangerous person you must not help is the chronic blamer. This person has a special talent for making everything someone else's fault. Their marriage failed because of their spouse. Their career tanked because of their boss. Their health is poor because of their doctor. Their finances are a mess because of the economy. They are never, ever responsible for anything that goes wrong in their life. The chronic blamer is trapped in a prison of their own making, but they can't see the bars. They can't see that the key to their freedom is in their own pocket. They're so busy pointing fingers that they never look in the mirror. And when you try to help them, when you try to offer solutions or suggestions, they have a reason why it won't work. They have someone else to blame for why they can't take action. You cannot help someone who refuses to take responsibility for their life. You just can't. Because help requires participation. Help requires ownership. Help requires a person to say, yes, I played a role in creating this situation and therefore I have the power to create a different one. But the chronic blamer will never say this. They're too invested in being right about being wronged. When you try to help a chronic blamer, you become their next target. Eventually, when your help doesn't fix their life, because nothing can fix a life that won't be fixed from the data inside, they'll blame you too. You didn't do enough. You didn't care enough. You didn't understand. You're just like everyone else who let them down. And round it goes. The most loving thing you can do for a chronic blamer is to refuse to participate in their blame game. Don't agree with their assessments. Don't feed their narrative. Don't let them use you as a dumping ground for their resentment. Instead, gently reflect back to them. What's your part in this? What could you have done differently? What can you control moving forward? Most won't want to hear it. Most will walk away, and that's okay. Your job isn't to force people into awareness. Your job is to maintain your own. The fourth dangerous person you must not help is the perpetual user. This person sees relationships as transactions. They see people as resources. They see you as a means to an end. They're nice when they need something. They're charming when they want something. But when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. They're busy. They're unavailable. They're dealing with their own stuff. The perpetual user has developed a sophisticated strategy for getting their needs met without ever giving anything in return. They know how to make you feel special when they want your help. They know how to make you feel guilty if you hesitate. They know exactly which buttons to push and which strings to pull. And if you're a naturally giving person, if you're someone who finds meaning in helping others, you're the perfect target. Here's what happens when you help a perpetual user. You teach them that using people works. You teach them that they can take without giving. You teach them that relationships are one-way streets. And you teach yourself that your value lies in what you can do for others, not in who you are. This is dangerous for both of you. The perpetual user needs to learn that real relationships are based on mutual respect, mutual care, mutual giving. They need to learn that people aren't tools to be picked up when needed and discarded when not. They need to learn empathy, reciprocity, genuine connection. But they'll never learn these things if you keep allowing them to use you. Stopping your help to a perpetual user feels harsh. It feels mean. They'll make you feel like you're the problem. How could you be so selfish? How could you abandon them when they need you? But here's the truth. Saying no to a user isn't selfish. It's self-respectful. It's teaching them a lesson that nobody else has had the courage to teach them. And if they can't handle it, if they disappear from your life because you stopped being useful, then you know what? They were never really in your life to begin with. They were just passing through, taking what they could get. The fifth dangerous person you must not help is the person who refuses to help themselves. This is perhaps the most heartbreaking one because often these are people we love. These are family members, old friends, people we've known for years. We watch them make the same mistakes over and over. We watch them ignore good advice. We watch them choose the path of least resistance even when it leads to destruction. And we want so badly to save them. But here's what you need to understand. You cannot want someone's healing more than they want it themselves. You cannot care about someone's life more than they care about it. You cannot drag someone into their own potential. They have to want it. They have to choose it. They have to do the work. The person who refuses to help themselves is saying, through their actions, I'm not ready, I'm not willing, I'm not committed to change. And that's their right. That's their choice. As hard as it is to accept, everyone has the right to stay stuck. Everyone has the right to refuse growth. Everyone has the right to say no to their own evolution. When you help someone who refuses to help themselves, you're doing more harm than good. You're enabling their self-destruction. You're removing the natural consequences that might actually motivate them to change. You're interfering with the lessons that life is trying to teach them. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is to step back and let them hit bottom. Because it's only at the bottom that many people finally decide to climb. This doesn't mean you stop loving them. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you love them enough to let them learn their own lessons. It means you care enough to say, I can't do this for you and I won't pretend that I can. It means you're honest enough to admit that your help isn't helping, it's just postponing the inevitable. The sixth and final dangerous person you must not help is the person who wants you to compromise your own well-being for theirs. This person comes to you with needs that require you to sacrifice your health, your peace, your values, your boundaries, your own life. They want you to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. And if you're not careful, if you're not awake, you'll do it. Because you're a good person, because you care, because you've been taught that sacrifice is noble. But let me tell you something. Sacrifice isn't always noble. Sometimes sacrifice is just slow suicide. Sometimes sacrifice is just a socially acceptable way of destroying yourself. There's a huge difference between healthy giving and unhealthy sacrificing. Healthy giving comes from a full cup. It's sustainable. It's joyful. It doesn't deplete you because you're giving from your overflow. Unhealthy sacrificing comes from an empty cup. It's unsustainable. It's resentful. It depletes you because you're giving what you don't have. The person who wants you to compromise your well-being for theirs is asking you to live a lie. They're asking you to pretend that your needs don't matter. They're asking you to treat yourself as less important than they are. And if you agree to this, if you go along with this, you're not helping them. You're teaching them that it's okay to disrespect you. You're teaching them that your boundaries don't mean anything. You're teaching them that love means destroying yourself for others. Real love, true love, healthy love never asks someone to betray themselves. Real love says, take care of yourself first so you have something real to give. Real love says, your well-being matters just as much as mine. Real love says, I want you whole, not depleted. When someone genuinely cares about you, they don't want your help at the cost of your health, your sanity, your life. They want you thriving. They want you strong. They want you full. So when someone comes to you with a request that requires you to compromise your own well-being, the answer must be no. Not maybe, not let me think about it. No. A clear, clean, unapologetic no. And if they can't accept that, if they get angry or hurt or offended, that tells you everything you need to know. It tells you they were more interested in what you could do for them than in who you are. It tells you they saw you as a resource, not as a person. It tells you they don't really love you. They love what you give them. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, if I don't help these people, who will? If I turn my back on them, aren't I being just as selfish as they are? If I put up boundaries, aren't I being cold and uncaring? And these are good questions. These are important questions. But they're based on a false premise. The false premise is that you only have two options. Help everyone or help no one. Sacrifice yourself or be selfish. But there's a third way. There's a middle path. And that path is called wisdom. Wisdom knows the difference between helping and enabling. Wisdom knows the difference between compassion and codependency. Wisdom knows the difference between supporting someone's growth and supporting their dysfunction. Wisdom says, I will give generously to those who are doing the work, who are taking, responsibility, who are genuinely trying to help themselves. But I will not waste my precious energy on those who refuse to change, who blame everyone else, who see me as a resource to be exploited. This isn't about being hard. This isn't about being cold. This is about being smart with your love. This is about understanding that you have a finite amount of energy, time, and resources. You can't give to everyone, you can't help everyone, you can't save everyone, so you have to choose. You have to decide where your energy will do the most good. You have to invest in the people who will actually use your help to grow, not the people who will use it to stay stuck. Think about it this way. If you had $100 to give to charity, would you give it to an organization that was well-run, effective, making a real difference in the world? Or would you give it to an organization that was corrupt, wasteful, making no real impact? The choice is obvious, right? You'd give to the organization that would use your money well. The same principle applies to your energy, your time, your help. Give it to the people who will use it well. Give it to the people who are ready. Give it to the people who are willing. Give it to the people who respect it. And what about those 6 dangerous people? What happens to them if you don't help? Well, here's the beautiful truth. They'll either figure it out on their own, or they'll find someone else to use, or they'll hit bottom and finally wake up. Either way, it's not your responsibility. You are not responsible for other people's lives. You are not responsible for other people's choices. You are not responsible for other people's happiness. You are responsible for your own life, your own choices, your own happiness. And when you take full responsibility for yourself, when you stop trying to save everyone else, something magical happens. You become a beacon of light. You become an example of what's possible. You become proof that people can thrive when they take responsibility for their own lives. The professional victim sees you thriving and thinks, maybe I don't have to be a victim. Maybe I can take charge of my life too. The energy vampire sees you with strong boundaries and thinks, maybe I need to generate my own energy. Maybe I need to stop feeding off others. The chronic blamer sees you taking responsibility and thinks, maybe I've been wrong. Maybe I do have power here. The perpetual user sees you refusing to be used and thinks, maybe I need to learn to give as well as take. The person who refuses to help themselves sees you stepping back and thinks, maybe it's time I start helping myself. And the person who wanted you to compromise your well-being sees you honoring yourself and thinks, maybe I need to honor others too. You see, sometimes the most powerful help you can give someone is to stop helping them. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to let them struggle. Sometimes the greatest teaching is done through your absence, not your presence. This goes against everything you've been taught, I know, but it's true. And if you can accept this truth, if you can integrate this truth, if you can live this truth, your life will transform. You'll stop feeling drained all the time. You'll stop feeling resentful about all you give and how little you get back. You'll stop feeling like a doormat that everyone walks on. Instead, you'll feel energized. You'll feel empowered. You'll feel like yourself again. And here's the really beautiful part. When you stop wasting your energy on people who won't use it well, you'll have so much more energy for the people who will. You'll be able to show up fully for the people who are doing the work. You'll be able to give generously without feeling depleted. You'll be able to make a real difference in the lives of people who actually want to change. But to get there, you have to do something that feels impossible at first. You have to learn to say no. You have to learn to create boundaries. You have to learn to protect your energy. And most importantly, you have to learn to live with the discomfort of other people's disappointment in you. Because when you stop helping these 6 dangerous people, they will be disappointed. They will be angry. They will accuse you of changing, of not being the person you used to be. And you know what? They're right. You're not the person you used to be. You used to be someone who gave without wisdom. You used to be someone who helped without discernment. You used to be someone who sacrificed yourself without question. But you're not that person anymore. You've evolved. You've grown. You've learned. And that's something to celebrate, not apologize for. Let me be clear about something. This doesn't mean you become a cold person. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people. This doesn't mean you walk through the world with your heart closed. In fact, it's the opposite. When you stop wasting your compassion on people who misuse it, you have more compassion to give to those who honor it. When you stop sacrificing yourself for people who don't appreciate it, you have more of yourself to share with those who do. When you stop trying to save people who don't want to be saved, you can actually help people who are ready for help. This is about becoming a wise giver instead of a foolish one. This is about understanding that love without wisdom is just sentimentality. This is about recognizing that helping someone stay stuck is not actually helping them at all. This is about having the courage to do what's right even when it feels wrong. This is about trusting that people have their own path, their own lessons, their own growth, and that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is get out of the way and let them walk it. Think about the people in your life right now. Think about the ones who drain you, who use you, who blame you, who expect you to sacrifice yourself for them. Think about how much energy you've given them. Think about how little has changed. Think about how exhausted you feel. Now ask yourself, is this really helping? Is this really love? Is this really what I want to do with my one precious life? Because here's the thing, you don't have forever. You don't have unlimited energy. You don't have endless time. You have right now. You have this moment. You have this one beautiful, miraculous, temporary life. And you get to choose how you spend it. You get to choose where you invest your energy. You get to choose who you help and who you don't. And if you choose wisely, if you choose consciously, if you choose from a place of wisdom rather than guilt or obligation or fear, your life will be so much richer, so much fuller, so much more meaningful. Saying no to the professional victim isn't cruel. It's giving them an opportunity to discover their own strength. Saying no to the energy vampire isn't cold. It's forcing them to generate their own energy. Saying no to the chronic blamer isn't harsh. It's inviting them to take responsibility. Saying no to the perpetual user isn't mean. It's teaching them about reciprocity. Saying no to the person who refuses to help themselves isn't abandonment. It's respecting their choice and their path. Saying no to the person who wants you to compromise your well-being isn't selfish. It's self-loving. Every no to these dangerous people is a yes to yourself. Every boundary you create is an act of self-respect. Every time you protect your energy, you're honoring the precious life you've been given. And this matters. This matters so much because you matter. Your life matters, your energy matters, your peace matters, your well-being matters. You are not a resource to be used up. You are not a battery to be drained. You are not a tool to solve other people's problems. You are a human being with your own needs, your own dreams, your own path. When you finally accept this, when you finally own this, when you finally live from this truth, everything changes. The people who were using you will fall away. The people who were draining you will move on. The people who were taking advantage of your kindness will find someone else. And yes, it will hurt at first. Yes, you'll feel guilty. Yes, you'll wonder if you did the right thing. But stay the course. Trust the process. Because on the other side of this discomfort is freedom. On the other side of this guilt is peace. On the other side of this change is the life you've always wanted but never thought you deserved. You deserve relationships that fill you up instead of emptying you out. You deserve friends who give as much as they take. You deserve people in your life who respect your boundaries, honor your needs, appreciate your help. You deserve to wake up in the morning feeling energized instead of exhausted. You deserve to go through your day without constantly being interrupted by other people's crises. You deserve to give from a full cup instead of an empty one. But you'll never have any of this if you keep helping the 6 dangerous people. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get really honest with yourself. Look at your life. Look at your relationships. Look at where your energy is going. Identify the professional victims, the energy vampires, the chronic blamers, the perpetual users, the people who refuse to help themselves, the people who want you to compromise your well-being. See them clearly, name them honestly, and then make a decision. Decide that you're done. Decide that you're not doing this anymore. Decide that your life is too precious to waste on people who won't value your help. And then take action. Start creating boundaries. Start saying no. Start protecting your energy. And when people push back, when they get upset, when they accuse you of changing, stay strong, stay clear, stay committed to your own well-being. Because this is your life. This is your one shot. This is your opportunity to live in a way that honors who you are and what you're here to do. Don't waste it trying to save people who don't want to be saved. Don't sacrifice it for people who wouldn't do the same for you. Don't give it away to people who don't value it. Instead, invest your precious energy in people who are ready to receive it. Give your time to people who will use it to grow. Share your wisdom with people who want to learn. Support people who are doing the work. Encourage people who are taking responsibility. Stand beside people who are helping themselves. These are the people who deserve your help. These are the people who will honor your gift. These are the people who will transform your energy into something beautiful. And here's what will happen. You'll start to feel like yourself again. You'll start to remember who you are beneath all the giving, beneath all the sacrificing, beneath all the helping. You'll rediscover your own dreams, your own needs, your own life. You'll have energy for your own growth. You'll have time for your own development. You'll have space for your own peace. And from this place of wholeness, from this place of fullness, from this place of authenticity, you'll be able to give in a way that's truly helpful. You'll be able to love in a way that's truly loving. You'll be able to serve in a way that's truly serving. This is the paradox. When you stop trying to help everyone, you're actually able to help the people who need it most. When you stop giving indiscriminately, you're able to give powerfully. When you stop sacrificing yourself, you're able to show up fully. This is wisdom. This is maturity. This is the path of the awakened giver. So stop helping the 6 dangerous people. Stop enabling the professional victim. Stop feeding the energy vampire. Stop participating with the chronic blamer. Stop allowing the perpetual user. Stop rescuing the person who refuses to help themselves. Stop compromising your well-being for others. And start living your life. Start honoring your needs. Start respecting your boundaries. Start protecting your peace. Start valuing your energy. Start choosing yourself. This isn't selfishness. This is self-love. And self-love is the foundation of all genuine love. You cannot give what you don't have. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot help others if you've destroyed yourself. So fill your own cup first. Take care of your own needs first. Protect your own peace first. And then from that place of fullness, from that place of strength, from that place of wisdom, give to those who are ready to receive. Help those who are willing to be helped. Support those who are doing the work. This is the path. This is the way. This is how you live a life that matters, that makes a difference, that leaves the world better than you found it. Not by sacrificing yourself for everyone, not by saying yes to every request, not by giving until there's nothing left, but by being wise with your love, discerning with your help, and protective of your precious energy. When you do this, when you really do this, you become a force for good in this world. You become an example of what's possible. You become a light that guides others home, not because you've sacrificed yourself, but because you've honored yourself. And that makes all the difference. You know what's incredible? Right now, in this very moment, you have the power to decide that you will never again allow anger to control your life. Not tomorrow, not after you read another book, not after you attend another seminar. Right now. And I want to talk to you about something that changed my life completely, and I know it will change yours too if you really hear what I'm saying to you today. Anger is a choice. Let me say that again because this might be the most important thing you hear today. Anger is a choice. You choose it. Every single time you get angry at someone, you are making a choice. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but you don't understand. You don't know what they did to me. You don't know how they treated me. You don't know what they said. And you're right. I don't know. But what I do know is this. No one can make you angry without your permission. No one. Think about that for a moment. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when someone says something unkind to you, when someone doesn't meet your expectations, what's really happening? They're just being themselves. They're doing what they do. They're living their life according to their level of consciousness, their conditioning, their understanding of the world. And you're getting angry because you've decided that they should be different. You've decided that they should behave according to your rules, your expectations, your way of seeing things. But here's the truth that will set you free. You cannot control other people. You cannot control what they say. You cannot control what they do. You cannot control how they think. The only thing you can control is your response to what they say and do. That's it. That's all you've got. And when you really understand this, when you really get this at a cellular level, your entire life transforms. You see, when you get angry at someone, you're saying to yourself and to the universe, this person has power over me. This person can determine my emotional state. This person can take away my peace. And that's simply not true unless you give them that power. You are giving away your power every time you allow someone else's behavior to determine how you feel. Let me tell you something about anger that most people don't understand. Anger is always about you. It's never about the other person. Never. When you feel angry, you are experiencing a disturbance within yourself. You are experiencing a gap between what you think should be happening and what is actually happening. And that gap, that's where the anger lives. In that space between your expectations and reality, so what do? How do you stop being angry? How do you reach that place where nothing and no one can disturb your inner peace? It starts with understanding that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your thoughts and emotions. You are the one who watches the thoughts come and go. You are the one who notices the emotions rise and fall. And when you identify with that observer, with that witness consciousness, suddenly you have space, you have room, you have the ability to choose. When someone does something that in the past would have made you angry, you can now pause. You can observe the anger trying to arise. You can watch it like you're watching a movie. And then you can ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this anger helping me in any way? Is it making me healthier? Is it making me happier? Is it solving the problem? And the answer is always no. Anger never solves anything. It only creates more problems. It damages your relationships. It damages your health. It damages your peace of mind. Now, I want you to understand something crucial. When I say anger is a choice, I'm not saying you should suppress your feelings. I'm not saying you should pretend everything is fine when it's not. I'm not saying you should be a doormat and let people walk all over you. That's not what I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about is responding to life from a place of centeredness rather than reacting from a place of disturbance. There's a huge difference between responding and reacting. When you react, you're not thinking. You're just being triggered. Something happens and boom, you're angry. It's automatic. It's unconscious. It's like a button that gets pushed and you have no control. But when you respond, you're conscious. You're aware. You're choosing. You're saying, okay, this situation is happening. How do I want to handle this? What response will serve the highest good here? And here's something beautiful that happens when you stop being angry at people. You start to see them differently. You start to see that everyone is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have. That person who cut you off in traffic, they might be rushing to the hospital, they might have just received terrible news, or maybe they're just having a bad day, or maybe they're just not very conscious yet. But whatever it is, it's not personal, it's not about you. This is so important. Nothing other people do is because of you. It's because of them. When someone is rude to you, it's because they're in pain. When someone betrays you, it's because they're disconnected from their higher self. When someone criticizes you, it's because they're critical of themselves. People who are at peace don't hurt other people. People who are happy don't try to make others unhappy. So when someone does something hurtful, instead of getting angry, you can feel compassion. You can understand that they're suffering. Now, does this mean you have to keep toxic people in your life? Absolutely not. You can remove yourself from unhealthy situations without anger. You can set boundaries without hostility. You can say no without resentment. You can walk away from people who are not good for you while still wishing them well. That's the key. You can make powerful decisions about who you allow in your life without carrying anger in your heart. Let me share something with you about the physiology of anger. When you get angry, your body goes into stress mode, your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, stress hormones flood your system, your immune system is suppressed. And all of this happens not because of what the other person did, but because of your reaction to what they did. You are literally poisoning yourself with your own anger. And the person you're angry at, they're probably not even thinking about you. They've moved on. They're living their life. And you're sitting there stewing in your anger, hurting yourself. So who's really being hurt by your anger? You are. Always. Every single time. Anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work that way. You're the one who suffers. You're the one who can't sleep at night. You're the one replaying the situation over and over in your mind. You're the one whose health is being compromised. And for what? Because someone didn't behave the way you wanted them to? Here's another powerful realization. When you're angry at someone, you're tied to them. You're connected to them. You're giving them space in your mind, rent-free. They're living in your head, occupying your thoughts, stealing your peace. And the moment you let go of that anger, you cut that cord. You free yourself. You take back your power. You reclaim your peace. Forgiveness is the key, not for them, but for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again. It doesn't mean you have to have them in your life. Forgiveness simply means you're no longer willing to carry the burden of anger and resentment. You're choosing your peace over your need to be right. You're choosing your freedom over your desire for revenge. And when you forgive, something miraculous happens. You feel lighter. You feel freer. It's like you've been carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks, and suddenly you just take it off and set it down. The relief is immediate, the peace is palpable, and you realize that you could have done this at any time. You didn't need the other person to apologize. You didn't need them to change. You didn't need anything from them at all. You just needed to make a different choice. Now, let's talk about expectations, because this is where so much anger comes from. You have an idea of how people should be, how they should treat you, how they should behave. And when they don't meet those expectations, you get angry. But who says your expectations are right? Who made you the arbiter of how everyone should behave? You have your rules, your standards, your beliefs about how things should be, and you're imposing them on everyone else. And then you're getting upset when people don't follow your rules. But here's the thing, everyone has their own rules. Everyone has their own way of seeing the world. Everyone has their own level of awareness. And they're all equally valid. Your way is not the only way. Your truth is not the only truth. When you can accept this, when you can allow people to be who they are without needing them to be who you want them to be, you become free. This doesn't mean you don't have standards. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior. What it means is that you stop expecting people to be different than they are. You see them clearly. You accept the reality of who they are, and then you make conscious choices about how you want to interact with them based on that reality, not based on who you wish they were. There's tremendous freedom in accepting people as they are. It doesn't mean you like everything they do. It doesn't mean you agree with their choices. It simply means you acknowledge reality. You stop fighting what is. You stop resisting. And in that acceptance, you find peace. Let me tell you about the energy of anger. When you're angry, you're vibrating at a very low frequency. You're in a state of resistance. You're in a state of separation. And from that place, you cannot access your higher wisdom. You cannot see solutions. You cannot feel love. You cannot experience joy. Anger blocks all of that. It puts you in a prison of your own making. But when you let go of anger, when you choose peace, your energy shifts. You start vibrating at a higher frequency. You become aligned with your true nature, which is love. And from that place, everything changes. Your relationships improve, your health improves, your creativity flows, opportunities appear. Life becomes easier, not because circumstances have changed, but because you have changed. You see, the world you experience is a reflection of your inner state. When you're angry, you see an angry world. You see threats everywhere. You see people as adversaries. You're defensive. You're guarded. You're ready for battle. But when you're at peace, you see a peaceful world. You see beauty. You see kindness. You see opportunities for connection. You're open. You're trusting. You're relaxed. So which world do you want to live in? Because you get to choose. Every moment of every day, you get to choose. Are you going to react with anger, or are you going to respond with peace? Are you going to see this person as an enemy, or are you going to see them as a fellow human being who is struggling just like everyone else? Here's something I want you to try. The next time someone does something that would normally make you angry, take a breath. Just breathe. And then ask yourself, what if this person is a teacher? What if this situation is here to help me grow? What if this is an opportunity to practice peace? Because that's what it is. Every challenging person, every difficult situation is an opportunity for you to strengthen your peace muscle. It's a chance for you to prove to yourself that you don't have to be controlled by external circumstances. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's like building any other skill. At first, it's hard. You'll slip up. You'll get angry. And that's okay. Don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just notice it. Oh, I got angry. Interesting. What triggered that? And then choose again. Choose peace. Choose understanding. Choose love. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself when you feel anger arising is this: do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Because often, anger is about wanting to be right. Someone did something wrong, and you want them to know it. You want them to admit it. You want them to apologize. You want justice. But at what cost? At the cost of your peace? At the cost of your happiness? Is it worth it? Most of the time, being right is not worth sacrificing your happiness. Most of the time, your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Most of the time, letting it go is the strongest thing you can do. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to choose what really matters. And what really matters? Your inner state, your peace, your joy, your ability to love. These are the things that matter. These are the things that make life worth living. Not being right, not winning arguments, not getting revenge, not holding grudges. Those things only make you miserable. Let's talk about judgment, because judgment and anger go hand in hand. When you judge someone as wrong, as bad, as stupid, as selfish, you create the conditions for anger. You set yourself up as superior, and you put them down as inferior. And from that place of judgment, anger is inevitable. But what if you stopped judging? What if you simply observed? What if you said, this person is behaving this way. This is what's happening. How do I want to respond? No judgment, no labels, just what is. When you do this, anger loses its grip on you. Because anger needs judgment to survive. It needs the story that someone is wrong and you are right. The truth is, everyone is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have in that moment. Even the person who hurt you, even the person who betrayed you, even the person who disappointed you. They were doing the best they could. Now, their best might not be good enough for you. Their best might have caused you pain, but it was still their best in that moment with their level of awareness. Understanding this doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior. It doesn't mean you don't protect yourself. It doesn't mean you don't have consequences. What it means is that you don't carry anger. You don't make yourself sick with resentment. You handle what needs to be handled, and then you move on. You let it go. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is not pretending it didn't happen. Letting go is simply releasing your emotional attachment to it. It's saying, this happened. I acknowledge it. I learned from it, and now I'm choosing to move forward without carrying this weight. Here's a powerful practice. When someone does something that triggers you, instead of immediately reacting, say to yourself, this is not an emergency. I have time to choose my response. Because most of the time, our anger is based on the false belief that we must react immediately. But you don't. You can pause, you can breathe, you can think, and from that pause, from that space, you can choose a response that serves you. Another thing to understand about anger is that it often comes from pain. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to lash out in anger. But underneath that anger is hurt. There's pain, there's disappointment, there's sadness. And instead of feeling those vulnerable emotions, we cover them up with anger because anger feels more powerful. Anger feels like protection. But it's not, it's just a mask. What if, instead of getting angry, you allowed yourself to feel the hurt? What if you acknowledged the pain? What if you were honest about your disappointment? This is vulnerability, and it's much more powerful than anger. When you can say, what you did hurt me, instead of, I'm so angry at you, you're being authentic. You're being real. And from that place of authenticity, real communication can happen. Real healing can happen. But when you come from anger, defenses go up, walls go up, nothing gets resolved. The other person gets defensive and you get more angry and it just escalates. But when you come from a place of honest vulnerability, people can actually hear you. They can actually understand. And even if they don't, even if they're not capable of that, you've honored yourself. You've been true to yourself. And that's what matters most. Now, I want to address something important. Some people use anger as fuel. They think it motivates them. They think it gives them energy. They think it helps them stand up for themselves. And while anger can provide a temporary surge of energy, it's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And it always comes at a cost. You can be motivated by love instead of anger. You can stand up for yourself from a place of self-respect instead of rage. You can create change from a place of vision instead of vengeance. And when you do, your actions are more effective. Your energy is cleaner. Your impact is greater. Think about the great leaders throughout history, the ones who created lasting change, the ones who really transformed the world. They didn't do it through anger. They did it through love. They did it through vision. They did it through a commitment to something greater than themselves. Yes, they felt angry about injustice, but they didn't act from anger. They acted from love. They acted from a vision of a better world. You can do the same in your own life. You can want things to be better without being angry about how they are. You can work for change without carrying resentment. You can hold people accountable without hating them. These things are not only possible, they're more effective. Let me share something about the present moment. Anger. almost always lives in the past or the future. You're angry about something that already happened, or you're angry about something you're afraid will happen. But in this present moment, right now, are you okay? Right now, in this exact second, is there a problem? Usually not. Usually, in the present moment, you're fine. You're breathing, you're alive, you're okay. So when you feel anger rising, come back to now, come back to this moment. Feel your breath, feel your body, look around you, be here now. And notice how, in this moment, there's nothing to be angry about. The anger is about something that's not happening right now. And if you can stay in the present moment, anger has no power over you. This is why meditation is so powerful. It trains you to be present. It trains you to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. It creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you find freedom, you find choice, you find peace. But you don't have to sit on a cushion to be present. You can be present right now. You can be present while you're driving, while you're working, while you're talking to someone. You can bring your attention to this moment again and again. And each time you do, you're strengthening your ability to choose peace over anger. Here's another insight. Your anger often has nothing to do with the person you're directing it at. You might be angry at your spouse, but really you're angry at yourself. You might be angry at your boss, but really you're angry at your own choices. You might be angry at the world, but really you're angry about your own unfulfilled potential. This is called projection. You take what you don't want to face in yourself and you project it onto others. You make them the problem so you don't have to look at your own stuff. But this never works. It never brings relief. It never brings resolution. The only way to heal is to look inward, to take responsibility, to ask yourself, what is this anger really about? What is this showing me about myself? When you start asking these questions, when you start looking within, you stop blaming. You stop being a victim. You stop giving your power away. You realize that you are the creator of your experience, not because you control what happens to you, but because you control how you respond to what happens to you. And this is the ultimate freedom. This is the key to never being angry again. Understanding that you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of other people. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are a powerful creator, and you get to choose in every moment how you want to show up. So what if you chose to show up with love? What if you chose to show up with compassion? What if you chose to show up with understanding? What if, instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, what can I learn from this? What if, instead of seeing enemies, you saw teachers? What if, instead of seeing problems, you saw opportunities? This is not naive positivity. This is not pretending bad things don't happen. This is not toxic optimism. This is a conscious choice to interpret your experiences in a way that empowers you rather than victimizes you. It's a choice to see life as happening for you, not to you. When someone treats you badly, life is giving you an opportunity to practice unconditional love. When someone disappoints you, life is giving you an opportunity to release expectations. When someone angers you, life is giving you an opportunity to choose peace. Every difficult person, every challenging situation is a gift. It's a chance to grow. It's a chance to evolve. It's a chance to become more of who you really are. And who are you really? You are not your anger. You are not your resentment. You are not your hurt. You are the infinite loving awareness that is witnessing all of this. You are the consciousness that is aware of the anger, aware of the hurt, aware of the thoughts, and that consciousness is always at peace. It's always whole. It's always complete. When you identify with that awareness instead of with your temporary emotions, everything shifts. You realize you can feel angry without being angry. You can observe the emotion without becoming the emotion. You can watch it rise, watch it peak, watch it fall, all while remaining centered in your true self. This is mastery. This is freedom. This is what it means to never be angry at anyone again. Not because nothing ever bothers you, but because you're no longer controlled by what bothers you. You're no longer imprisoned by your reactions. You're free. And from that freedom, you can love. You can really love. Not the conditional love that says, I'll love you if you behave the way I want, but the unconditional love that says, I love you even when you don't. Not because you're perfect, but because love is your nature. Not because people deserve it, but because you deserve to be a loving person. This kind of love transforms everything. It transforms your relationships. It transforms your health. It transforms your entire experience of life, because when you're loving, you're happy. When you're angry, you're miserable. It's that simple. So I'm inviting you today to make a decision. Decide that you're done with anger. Decide that you're done giving your power away. Decide that you're done poisoning yourself with resentment. Decide that from this moment forward, you're choosing peace, you're choosing love, you're choosing freedom. And when someone does something that in the past would have made you angry, remember this: they are not your enemy, they are your teacher. This is not a problem, this is an opportunity. You are not a victim, you are a powerful creator, and you get to choose. Choose peace, choose understanding, choose compassion, choose love. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong. Not because you're naive, but because you're wise. This is the path. This is the way. This is how you never be angry at anyone again, not by suppressing your emotions, but by transforming them. Not by pretending everything is fine, but by actually being fine regardless of circumstances. Not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself. You have this power. You've always had this power. You just forgot. But now you remember, now you know, and now you can choose. Every moment of every day, you can choose. And when you choose peace often enough, it becomes your default. It becomes who you are. It becomes your natural state. And from that place of peace, you can do anything. You can create anything. You can be anything. Because you're no longer wasting your energy on anger. You're no longer carrying the burden of resentment. You're free. You're light. You're alive. This is your birthright. This is your true nature. This is who you really are beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the hurt, beneath all the stories. You are peace. You are love. You are joy. And nothing anyone does can take that away from you unless you let them. So don't let them. Reclaim your power. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your life. Starting right now. Starting with the very next person who does something that would normally make you angry. See them with new eyes. See them with compassion. See them as a fellow human being on their own journey. And choose to respond with love. This is how you change the world. Not by trying to change everyone else, but by changing yourself. Not by making everyone behave the way you want them to, but by being at peace regardless of how they behave. Not by controlling circumstances, but by controlling your response to circumstances. You are more powerful than you know. You are more free than you realize. You are more capable of love than you can possibly understand. And it all starts with this decision: to never again allow anger to steal your peace. To never again give your power away to someone else's behavior. To never again be a prisoner of your own reactivity. You are free. You've always been free. You just had to remember, and now you have. So go forth. Live from this place of freedom. Love from this place of peace. Be the person you were always meant to be. The person who is no longer controlled by anger. The person who responds to everything with love. The person who is truly free. This is possible for you. Not someday, not eventually, right now, in this moment. Make the choice, make the commitment, and watch your entire life transform. Because when you're no longer angry, you're available for joy. When you're no longer resentful, you're available for love. When you're no longer bitter, you're available for peace. And that's what life is really about. Not being right, not winning, not getting revenge, but being at peace, being in love, being in joy. That's success. That's happiness. That's freedom. Choose it, claim it, live it. Starting now. There's something else I want you to consider. Every time you hold on to anger, you're actually creating a story. You're creating a narrative about what happened, about who was wrong, about who was right, about how you were victimized. And you tell yourself this story over and over again. You rehearse it, you perfect it, you add details. And the more you tell the story, the more real it becomes, the more justified your anger feels. But what if you changed the story? What if you told a different story about the same event? Because the event itself is neutral. It's just something that happened. The meaning you give it, that's what creates your emotional response. So if you can change the meaning, you can change the emotion. Let's say someone betrayed your trust. You can tell yourself the story that they're a terrible person, that you were foolish to trust them, that you'll never trust anyone again, and that story will make you angry and bitter. Or you can tell yourself a different story. You can say that this person taught you something valuable about boundaries, that this experience helped you become more discerning, that this was a necessary part of your growth. Same event, different story, different emotion. This is the power you have. The power to choose the story you tell yourself about your experiences. And when you exercise this power consciously, you become unstoppable, because nothing can knock you down. Nothing can keep you stuck. Everything becomes useful. Everything becomes a teaching. Think about the energy you spend maintaining your anger. Think about all the mental conversations you have with people who aren't even there, all the arguments you win in your head, all the things you wish you had said. All the ways you replay the situation, trying to make sense of it, trying to justify your position. This is exhausting. This drains your life force. This keeps you stuck in the past. What if you took all that energy and redirected it? What if you used it to create something beautiful? What if you used it to love someone? What if you used it to pursue your dreams? Think about how much energy would be available to you if you weren't spending it on anger and resentment. Think about what you could accomplish. Think about who you could become. Your life is happening right now, not in the past, not in the future, right now. And every moment you spend angry about something that already happened is a moment you're not fully alive. It's a moment you're missing. It's a moment you can never get back. Is that how you want to spend your precious life? Rehashing old grievances, nursing old wounds, staying mad at people who have moved on? You deserve better than that. You deserve to be fully present for your life. You deserve to experience joy. You deserve to feel peace. And the only thing standing between you and that peace is your decision to hold on to anger. That's it. It's just a decision. And you can make a different decision right now. Let me tell you about the ripple effect of your anger. When you're angry, it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone around you. Your spouse feels it. Your children feel it. Your coworkers feel it. Even strangers feel it. Because energy is contagious. Your state affects other people's states. When you're angry, you spread that anger. You contaminate the space around you. But the beautiful thing is, peace is also contagious. When you're at peace, you spread that peace. When you're loving, you spread that love. When you're joyful, you spread that joy. So by choosing peace for yourself, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping everyone you come into contact with. You're making the world a little bit better. You're being the change. And isn't that what we all really want? To make a positive difference? To leave things better than we found them? You can't do that from a place of anger. You can only do that from a place of love. So every time you choose peace over anger, you're not just choosing for yourself, you're choosing for everyone. Here's something profound. The people who trigger your anger the most are often your greatest spiritual teachers. They're showing you where you're not free. They're showing you where you still have attachments. They're showing you where you still need to grow. Instead of cursing them, thank them. They're doing you a service. They're holding up a mirror and showing you parts of yourself that need healing. When you can get to the place where you actually feel grateful for the difficult people in your life, you know you've made it. You know you're free, because you understand that they're not your problem, they're your opportunity. They're not your curse, they're your blessing in disguise. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about righteous anger? What about getting angry about injustice? Shouldn't I be angry about wrong things happening in the world? And I understand that question, but here's what I know. You can care about injustice without being angry. You can work to change things without carrying rage. You can stand up for what's right without being consumed by what's wrong. In fact, you're more effective when you come from a place of love rather than anger, because anger clouds your judgment. It makes you reactive. It makes you do things you later regret. But when you come from a place of centered peace, you're clear, you're strategic, you're effective. You create lasting change, not just temporary relief for your own emotions. The world needs people who care, who are compassionate, who want to make things better. But it doesn't need more anger. There's already plenty of that. What the world needs is people who can remain at peace while working for change. People who can love even those they disagree with. People who can see the humanity in everyone, even those who are causing harm. This doesn't mean you're passive. This doesn't mean you don't take action. This means you take action from a place of wisdom rather than reactivity. You respond to the world's problems with solutions, not just more problems. You add light instead of more darkness. Let's talk about forgiveness one more time because it's so central to this. When you forgive someone, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying you're okay. You're saying you're no longer going to let what they did determine your emotional state. You're taking back your power. You're setting yourself free. And sometimes the person you need to forgive most is yourself. You need to forgive yourself for all the times you reacted in anger, for all the times you said things you didn't mean, for all the times you hurt people because you were hurt, for all the times you weren't your best self. Forgive yourself. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had, and now you have more awareness. Now you can do better. Self-forgiveness is liberation. It allows you to move forward without the weight of guilt and shame. It allows you to learn from your mistakes without being defined by them. It allows you to be human without being harsh with yourself. And when you can forgive yourself, it becomes so much easier to forgive others. Here's a practice that can change everything. Before you go to sleep each night, think about your day. Think about any moments where you felt angry or upset. And then in your mind, replay those moments differently. See yourself responding with peace instead of anger. See yourself choosing love instead of resentment. See yourself being the person you want to be. This does two things. First, it rewires your brain. It creates new neural pathways. It teaches your mind that there are other ways to respond. Second, it releases the charge from those events. It completes them. It allows you to go to sleep in peace instead of carrying the stress into your dreams. And then, when similar situations arise in the future, you'll find yourself automatically responding differently because you've already practiced it. You've already seen yourself doing it. You've already experienced what it feels like to choose peace. And what you practice in your mind becomes easier to do in reality. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So use that to your advantage. Practice being peaceful. Practice being loving. Practice being free from anger. And watch as your actual life starts to reflect your practice. There's also something important about the language you use, both with yourself and with others. When someone does something you don't like, instead of saying, "You made me angry," try saying, "I feel angry." Do you see the difference? One makes them responsible for your emotion. The other acknowledges that you're responsible for your emotion. This small shift in language creates a huge shift in consciousness, or even better, go deeper. Instead of "I feel angry," ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What's underneath this anger? Because anger is usually a secondary emotion. Underneath it, there's often hurt, fear, disappointment, or sadness. When you can identify and express the real emotion, you connect with people on a much more authentic level. And when you take responsibility for your emotions through your language, something interesting happens. Other people stop being so defensive. They can actually hear you. They can actually respond to what you're really saying, and real communication becomes possible. Remember, every interaction you have is an opportunity to practice. Every person you meet is a chance to choose love over fear. Every challenge is an invitation to respond from your highest self. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You don't have to wait until everyone treats you right. You can start right now with the very next person you interact with. And yes, you'll slip up sometimes. You'll get triggered. You'll react instead of respond. That's okay. That's part of being human. The key is not to beat yourself up about it. Just notice it, learn from it, and choose again. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose. Every breath is a chance to start fresh. This journey from anger to peace is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming more conscious. It's about growing. It's about evolving into the highest version of yourself. And that happens one choice at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. You have everything you need within you right now. You don't need to read another book. You don't need to attend another workshop. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need to decide. Decide that you're done with anger. Decide that you're choosing peace. Decide that you're taking back your power. And then live from that decision. The life you want, the peace you seek, the joy you desire, it's all available to you right now. Not when circumstances change, not when people treat you better, not when you finally get what you want, right now. Because peace is not dependent on external conditions. Peace is an inner state that you choose regardless of external conditions. This is the secret. This is what changes everything. Understanding that happiness doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from wanting what you have. It comes from being at peace with what is. It comes from accepting reality as it is while working to make it better. It comes from loving people as they are while encouraging them to grow. You are standing at a doorway. On one side is the old way of being, where you give your power away to anyone who triggers you, where you stay stuck in anger and resentment, where you blame others for your emotional state. On the other side is freedom, peace, joy, love, power. All you have to do is walk through the doorway. All you have to do is choose. What will you choose?